everyone, I'm Sarah of Rich Textures Crochet and welcome. Today we're going to learn how to crochet these adorable little wooden people ornaments. Now these are quite easy, fairly quick to make. They're actually just three crochet pieces that are then glued on to one of these little wooden peg dolls. The dolls that I'm working with today are approximately 2 inches tall, and they're just simple. I bought mine on Amazon. I'm sure you can find them in various craft stores as well. So you're going to need one of these little dolls or more, depending on how many you'd like to make. You'll also need a little bit of a fingering weight yarn. I'm working with some yarn scraps today. This is a little bit of Valley Tweed by Rowan yarns, and again, it's just a little bit I had left over from another larger project that I was working on, which will be coming to this channel very soon, so you can keep an eye open for that. But this is a fingering weight 100% wool yarn that comes in a variety of colors. You're also going to need, along with your fingering weight yarn, about a 3mm crochet hook, and you're only going to need about 20, maybe 30 yards of this yarn. You're not going to need very much at all. You're also going to want a 3mm crochet hook, which is your size 11 crochet hook. You're going to need a couple of small beads. Now, I have misplaced the label for my beads, but you can see they're quite tiny. You're just going to need a couple little wooden ones. And you're also going to need a little mini pom-pom. These are your 10mm pom-poms. You're just going to need one of them in your color of choice. You'll also want a yarn needle, a piece of thread if you'd like to make a hanger for your ornaments, and a little bit of hot glue or glue that you can use to attach or secure your crochet pieces onto the wooden peg doll, and of course a pair of scissors. So let's grab our hooks and yarn and get started. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe. This channel is updated every single week with free crochet patterns. There are a number of other Christmas ornaments on my channel here under the Christmas ornament playlist if you are looking for more ornaments for the holiday season. Now, I have mentioned that our little people here, they are created using 3 different crochet pieces. So we're going to start the first one of those right now. That is the body. And for the body, we're going to start by making a slip knot and then by chaining 20. All of these pieces are worked in a round. You're going to then chain 20. And then, being careful not to twist your chain, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the first stitch. Now, if you would like to change the size of these pieces, say you're working with a larger or smaller doll, you can certainly add more or less chains. There is no certain stitch multiple. It can be any number of stitches. Then for round 1, you're going to chain 1 and work a single crochet into the same stitches joining, and then single crochet into each stitch all the way around. At the end of round 1, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. Now for round 2, you're going to chain 1, and working in the back loop only, you're going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around, beginning with the same stitches joining. Now to find the back loop only, you're going to take a look at your stitch, and at the top of the stitch you have 2 loops. This first loop that's closest to you, that is your front loop. The one that is furthest away, that is your back loop. So you're going to be inserting your hook under that back loop only and single crochet. You're going to do this in each stitch all the way around. Now you will find that the tendency of your fabric is to, as it is on mine, turn inward. But what we're going to do at this point is we're going to keep it so that our crochet stitches, the front side is facing. So you may just need to, especially in these first few rows, just turn your work so that the front side is facing. You will know it is the front side because you will see this little ridge of texture that's coming out through this front side. So just continue working in the back loop only of each stitch, working your single crochet stitches all the way around. Now when you come to your first stitch, you are not going to join. So do not join at the end of your round 2. Instead, you're going to jump up into your first stitch, and for rounds 3 through to 12, you'll continue working single crochets in the back loop only, working continuous rounds. So if you need to, so you're just going to jump up into that first stitch, work a single crochet, pull it a little bit tighter so that there's no gap in between those 2 rounds, and work your first stitch. If you would like, I never mentioned it at the beginning, but you can use a stitch marker just to mark that first stitch. Then move your stitch marker as your work progresses. But this is for rounds 3 through to 12. Once you have worked 12 rounds total of single crochet stitches, so that is from the very beginning of your work, you'll have 12 rounds, then you can join at the end of round 12 with a slip stitch into your first stitch. Once you have worked a total of 12 rounds, you can join with a slip stitch into your first stitch, then fasten off and weave in your ends, and this is the little piece that you have. You're then going to, on your body piece, fold the top down. I'm folding it down about a centimeter, maybe a little bit less, and then you're going to fold the bottom up. So you have 2 little cuffs, just like so. You can then at that time go ahead and glue it onto your little wooden doll. I'm going to wait until the very end and glue all my pieces at once so you can see them. So at this time you can just, with your piece fastened off, ends woven in, you can just set it aside. Next, we're going to work the arms of our doll. And the arms of the doll are worked in a very similar way to our body. So what we're going to do for the arms is we're going to make our slip knot and then work a foundation chain of 8 chains. So go ahead and chain 8 chains. Once you have 8 chains, you're going to join with a slip stitch. Again, be careful not to twist your chain, but join with a slip stitch into that first stitch. Then just as you did before, chain 1, and for round 1 of your doll arms, you're going to single crochet into that same stitch as joining, and then single crochet into each stitch all the way around. Once you have worked a single crochet into each stitch all the way around, and this is so teeny tiny, but once you've worked a single crochet in each stitch, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of that first stitch. You'll have a total of 8 single crochet stitches. Once again, you're going to want to turn your work so that the right side is facing. Now for round 2, chain 1, and then working in your back loop only, you're going to single crochet into that same stitch as joining, and then single crochet working in the back loop only of each stitch all the way around. So we're going to keep working all the way around, just working in the back loops only. When you come back to your first stitch, again, you are not going to join. If you need to, you can use a stitch marker. I do find that because this piece is so small, it's just easier to work continuous rounds, but you're going to continue working single crochet into the back loop only of that first stitch, and then single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch all the way around. This is for rounds 3 through to 15. So you want to have a total of 15 rounds for your arms. And then at that time, just as you did for the body, you can join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch, fasten off, and weave in your ends. At the end of round 15 of your arms, this is what your work is going to look like from the beginning. It is going to measure, let me see here, approximately 3.5 inches long, okay? And these are going to form your arms. I'm going to set this aside for a few moments here, and then again we're going to do all the gluing at the end of the video, so we'll just set that one aside. We're going to now crochet the final piece, which is our little hat. So you're going to start by making a slip knot. Once again, this is worked in rounds. So we're going to make a chain of 16 chains. Once you have that chain worked, you're going to be careful not to twist the chain, and you're going to join with a slip stitch into the first stitch to make a ring. Then for round 1, just as you did before, chain 1, work a single crochet into the same stitches joining, and then single crochet into each stitch all the way around. Once you come all the way around, you're going to join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch. Again, turn your work so that the right side is facing. You're then going to chain 1, working in the back loop only, single crochet into that first stitch, and then single crochet into each stitch all the way around. Once you come all the way around, again, instead of joining, you're going to work 2 more rounds of single crochet stitches working in the back loop only. Now, if you need to, you can use, again, a stitch marker, but we're just going to work 2 rounds, working in the back loop only of single crochet stitches. Do not join at the end of each round, but work continuous rounds and move that stitch marker if needed. At the end of round 4, you're going to begin the decreases in your hat. Continue working in the back loop only. Do not join, do not turn. You're going to work a single crochet in the back loop only of each of the next 6 stitches. You're then going to work a single crochet 2 together. To work the single crochet 2 together, you're going to insert your hook in the back loop only of the next stitch, yarn over and drop a loop, insert your hook in the back loop only of the next stitch, yarn over and drop a loop. With 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and draw through all 3 loops. That's your single crochet 2 together. You're now going to work a single crochet into each of the next 6 stitches in the back loop only, and then work a single crochet 2 stitches together. That brings you to the end of your round 5. For round 6, we're going to work a single crochet in the back loop only of each of the next 5 stitches. Then single crochet 2 stitches together. Repeat that, single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. And single crochet 2 together. That brings you to the end of round 6. For round 7, you're going to single crochet in the back loop only of each of the next 4 stitches. Then single crochet 2 stitches together. Repeat, single crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. And single crochet 2 stitches together. That brings you to the end of your round 7. For round 8, we're going to continue working in the back loop only, single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. Then single crochet 2 stitches together. Repeat that, single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. And single crochet 2 stitches together. We're going to work one more round. For round 9, you're going to single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, then single crochet 2 stitches together. Repeat that, single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together. You can then join with a slip stitch into the top of your first stitch, and you're going to fasten off, leaving a little bit of a long tail. You don't need to leave it too long. Just fasten off, leaving a long tail. You're then going to take the long tail and your yarn needle, and you're going to use that long tail simply to sew the top of your hat closed. You can just secure it and then tuck in your end. go ahead and weave in any other ends that you might have exposed there and fasten off. You're then going to take your little hat and you're going to turn the cuff up about 1/2 centimeter to 1 centimeter. It's really up to you. And we're now going to glue a little pom-pom to the top. So I'm just going to grab my hot glue gun here. Which of course is tangled up in my wires. There we go. So I have a little hot glue gun here. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue all of our little pieces together. I'm just going to pull back slightly here. Give us a little bit more space to work. So we're going to take all 3 pieces and our little wooden peg doll. You'll begin by just slipping the wooden peg doll into the body that you created first. Then just taking a little bit of glue, and of course I need another glue stick. Here we go. And just taking a little bit of hot glue, put a little bit of hot glue just around the bottom of your doll. It doesn't need to be too much. And then slide that little body piece down and just give it a moment to dry. You're then going to do the same up around the top of your doll. Just put a little bit of glue there around the neck. And then take your little body fabric, push it up, and kind of squish it down into the glue around the neck of your doll. There we go. You can set that aside for a moment and let it dry. You're then going to take your 2 little beads and we're going to glue them into our arms. So just into the end of each arm, I just put in a little bit of glue. Again, you don't need too much. Take your bead and very carefully, because the glue is hot, slide the bead down into the sleeve. These are going to form our little hands or mittens. Make this a little bit bigger here. Take your glue. We're going to do it for the second one. Just a little bit of hot glue. And once again, slide your little bead into the end of the sleeve. There you go. So you'll have 2 little hands on your sleeve. You're then going to take your little doll, and at this point there is no real front or back to your doll. If there's a side that you prefer for the front, just make sure that it's facing you, and you're going to take your glue and just run it along the middle of the back of your doll. Then take your arms, center them, and place your doll over top, and then gather them up near the front. If you need a little bit more glue kind of in the front, depending on how you want to position the hands, you can. That was maybe a little bit too much glue. It's going to show there a little bit, but that's okay. And just gather your hands forward. If you wanted to make your little doll holding something, there's lots of little fairy garden accessories that you can add. Flowers, if it's Christmas themed, maybe a little present or light or whatever you'd like. You can kind of add it there to the hands. I'm just keeping mine simple today. We're going to set that aside to let it dry. We're going to now take our hat and grab a little mini pom-pom. We're going to glue our pom-pom to the top of our hat. Just like so. Once again, be careful, that glue can be hot. And we're now going to take our hat and we're going to glue it on. You can position it a little bit depending on the kind of look you want to give your little guy. Play around with it as such. Add a little bit of glue to the top of their head and then add the hat to the top. Squish it into place, making sure that the glue is sticking. And that is all there is to your little wooden person. Although if you would like to add a string to hang it up or a piece of thread, you can just grab a piece of thread. Once the hat is fully dry, this would work better, but if you want to hang it, just simply thread the thread through like so, and then tie it up at the top, and that will create a little hanger for your little ornament. And that's all there is to working your little wooden people ornament. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you happen to make some of these little guys and share them on social media, I invite you to tag Rich Textures Crochet. I'd love to come by and admire them. Enjoy, and until next time, happy crocheting. Bye.